Now I can imagine quite a few people looking at the title of this video assuming that I'm being sexist and stereotyping, but I'm going to plead with you to allow me 90 seconds just to explain my position here, why I've written this title, and then hopefully if you're convinced you would stay with me, or you're welcome to change channels or maybe put a comment in the comment section. Now my background is in movement. I focus on movement. I'm a movement specialist. Now, I will be looking at the biomechanics of people when they do day-to-day work, activities, and sports. Now, what I'm going to really do is make sure that people are able to move in a way that is as efficient as possible. It generates the right power so that we're not overexerting ourselves, and also that we don't injure ourselves. And of course, we're looking at balance as well. So I will zone in on different sports to look and see how certain demographics would move and what's the most effective. Now, I've worked with thousands of children. So I've worked in primary schools, in pre-K, and I will see a default way in which girls, as opposed to boys, would project power from their body when it comes to sports. So when we're talking about sports that require you to project power from your body, we're looking at throwing, kicking, striking, even running, and of course in this case we're looking at punching. So let's say I give some boys and girls a tennis ball and ask them to throw it. This is what I would see as a default way of interpreting throwing a ball with say 8 out of 10 girls as opposed to 8 out of 10 boys. Okay, so the girls will tend to stand square and throw in this manner. Okay, or maybe they'll turn with the throwing arm this way, kind of the dart style. Whereas the boys, 8 out of 10 of the boys, would pull back and create a coil to load the energy and then rotate. So it's a transverse movement. So what I'm saying here is, if it's not corrected at an early age, and we are looking at before the age of around 10 or 11 years old, it tends to be a habit for life. I mean, you may think about fixing it, but it shouldn't really be thinking about that. They should be thinking about the sport, and that can become very, very cognitive. All right, so that's my way of trying to rectify it. So you need to watch and see if you're doing that. Even if you are a male, are you punching, throwing, kicking in this manner? Now let's talk about punching. Okay, we are looking at what we call the dominant limb. So if I'm using the left hand, for instance, we want to make sure that we are actually including the whole of the body. And there are many moving parts involved in this as opposed just to the limb. So let me just put on a glove. So just do the left jab. All right, and this is what I would see in terms of 8 out of 10 of the females I work with. Again, not being sexist, it's just an observation. Okay, so it will be arm dominant, throwing this way. Now you may notice as I punch, there's a jolting sensation, generally circulating around the rotator cuff, but also you get that jolting sensation in your elbow. Now we keep doing that for thousands of repetitions, you are inevitably going to injure yourself. And if you want to be learning how to punch, you need to be doing thousands of jabs. So this is the correct way to do it. Firstly, you need to engage in forcing the energy down into the ground, not from the limb outwards, but down into the ground. So if you think about the balls of your feet, right, that's just below your toes, that area where if you were tiptoeing, you keep yourself stable that way. Now just lower the heels a little bit and push downwards. You'll see boxers do that a lot. Okay, they're generating that spring down into the ground. Okay, you've got your arm up into your guard position, like so. And now you can feel the kinetic chain of energy going up the back of the leg and into the shoulder. Now if I'm punching within range, so it's close range, I tend to push down on the front foot, and you can see now that we're not getting that jolting sensation. So come to the bag now, okay, as opposed to that movement. If there's somebody who's a little bit out of range, it's a little bit out of range, because you're not throwing jabs if they're out of range. Or if they're a little bit taller, I tend to push up the back foot. And what we're focusing on is not trying to be powerful, but we're focusing on making sure it feels right. So again, if you're doing bag work or pad work, you don't really want to be What you want to be doing is just getting that moving part working nicely and efficiently, and then the power will come naturally. Also, when throwing anything or projecting anything, there has to be some kind of a torque involved in it. So you get more speed with the torque. So if I'm throwing a ball, you see pictures, there's a little bit of a rotation of the wrist. Okay, you get also in American football, you get that spiral. Tennis, you'll get servers toss the ball upwards and then they'll pronate. Boxers need to do the same as well. So put the other glove on, and what you'll see here is that there needs to be not only torque within the actual arm itself, but also with the body. Combine the two movements together, and then you get the efficient movement. So look very carefully. Got my guard, I'm pushing off that front foot, and watch the corkscrew movement as I throw the punch. Again, does it feel right? Do I feel like I'm off balance? You might want to make a few adjustments until it feels right. And it's the feeling you're chasing after, not just the technique or force. Okay, now get the breathing with it. And we're good. Now also, let's have a look at my torso. Again, notice it's not straight, it's also pulling a little bit out in that way as well. So rotating in the opposite direction. You could do thousands of those, and then you'll find that it becomes second nature and very efficient. Alright, so that's your jab. The final giveaway really with the jab is, the giveaway. So of course we do need to generate power, so we load up with energy, but I'll often see the chicken wing pull back and push. So this movement, okay. And if I'm doing pad work with mates, I tend to just pull it out of the way. It frustrates all of the people I'm working with, but it's a sign. I can see you're doing that. So it's a giveaway. And what you want to do is disguise it. So we throw, keep the arms nicely tucked in, and we jab in this manner as well. Okay. Try not to go fully extended, but around about 95%. Okay, so that's about 95%, and then we come back. And we can move around in that manner. Okay, now let's have a look at the cross, which is another straight, narrow punch. Again, this time we're corkscrewing the right hand, but again, you'll see the rotation of my hips in this manner. All right, keeping the guard up with my left hand, and I'm pushing off my back foot to create that torque and power. So here we go. Combine the two together. And you've got a nice little rhythm of your movement there, okay, as opposed to that. Alright. Now let's have a look at the wider punches. So punches 3, 4, 5, and 6, which are hooks on the left, hooks on the right, uppercuts left and right. Now, this is something again I see. Again, if you're not trained, you've never done it before, you're new to boxing, this is a big, massive giveaway, the haymaker. Alright, you can see my bicep as I'm about to throw the punch. Again, anybody who sees that has any kind of common sense will just move out the way. They know you're going to throw a punch. Alright, it's the biggest cue you could give away. So you want to disguise that. Alright, so we get our arms tucked in, and what we do again is generate power from the ground by pushing upwards and coiling. So we're coiling, twisting at the hips, and what we're aiming to do is to turn and strike without fully extending the arm. It's almost a little bit more acute than 90 degrees, so you've got that movement. Again, we're refining the movement so that we don't move our heads with the body, so we're keeping our eye on the target, and also I'm peekabooing over the top of my guard hand. So that's what we're looking for. And blowing, so we're generating the power, pushing down on the ground. Am I off balance when I'm striking? Again, when I'm doing practices with it, I'm checking to see what my balance is like, and I'm maybe adjusting my feet so that I'm able to keep myself stable. I'm not forcing it. So here we go again. And the same applies with the right hook as well. Again, keeping my eyes on the target. There we go. And then we're hooking in that way. It does look like I'm actually trying to hit my opponent with my elbow, but of course I'm not. But that's the finishing position that we're looking at. Finally, we're going to look at the uppercut. The uppercut, again, there are a couple of giveaways that we see when you're about to do an uppercut. The obvious one, again, is seeing your bicep. So if I'm about to throw the uppercut, I've just done a video which is about the SH1T-TY uppercut, where we're doing this. Again, if I'm doing mitt work, I will tend to just move it out of the way. It frustrates the people I'm training, but they've got to learn to disguise it, because in reality, that's what happens. With in most mitts, you will see an emblem on the flat part of, or the striking part of the mitt. So I've got here a fist here. And what I would do is angle it this way and ask my student to look down so they can see it. Okay, once they can see it, they position themselves right and loaded to actually throw the punch. So what we're looking at here is disguising it. So it's not a giveaway, keeping your arm tucked in, using your legs and your hips to generate the power. We've got here, that movement. Now I can feel myself a little bit off balance as well. So maybe widen my stance to be more stable. And get thousands of those so that naturally happens in the bout. As opposed to just going here, this is a little bit off balance, leaning to one side. And that's what we're looking for. When I'm in close range, and that's what tends to happen, you wouldn't do the uppercut from far range, but out range, I can see over the top of you. So when you see over the top of you, I can see that elbow about to load. So that's another giveaway, over the top. So you want to make sure it's there and not that as a giveaway. The same can be said for the right uppercut. Again, we're going on the inside slip, so the outside slip is that way, and we're throwing the punch, pushing off, basically both feet. Now if you're going to do a workout which is loaded with weights, then it's pretty good to actually do the split squat. So the split squat, I've got a couple of kettlebells here, I've got some weights here. And we split the squat in our normal stance, orthodox stance, and we can go down that way to learn to generate power, as opposed to your normal standing square squat, which is useful but doesn't quite translate as much as you would do if you're doing boxing. So let me just combine all six. Okay, we've got the left jab, the right cross, the left hook, the right hook, the uppercut, left and right. Hopefully that has not offended anybody, because we can't fix anything if we don't address the white elephant in the room, and when we do that, then we're giving everybody a chance. But anyway, thank you very much for your time. I really need to get back to work. If you want to follow me, you can follow me on my Patreon, on my website. The links are in the description below. I'll see you in the next video post.